Hey, everybody, welcome on back. It's a Rubbing is Racing podcast, and it's presented by Cabo Wabo Tequila. I have it in my hand right now. It's the unquestionably Mexican tequila with an undeniably American attitude. Cabo Wabo isn't just tequila. It's a couple of things. It's damn good. It's thick cut. It's 100% Blue Weber agave tequila, and it's the official tequila partner of NASCAR. So we had a bold splash to race day watching with Cabo Wabo Tequila, and if you're heading to a race this weekend, celebrate race day with Cabo Wabo. But we want to remind you, leave the driving to the professionals and enjoy the thick-cut, bold taste of Cabo Wabo Tequila responsibly. Grab your buds and a bottle of Cabo Wabo Tequila for the boldest race day experience, but you got to be 21 years or older, and you got to handle this stuff responsibly. It's 100% delicious, and we appreciate their continued support. Thank you, Cabo Wabo, and the Cabo Wabo 250 is coming up in a couple of weeks in Michigan. This is the Martin Truex farewell show, I guess. Before we start, one correction. I had mentioned a creator on TikTok who I watch his paint scheme reviews every week, and I forgot his name. His name is Tyler Pennell. So if you're going to follow this kid, is Pennell, Tyler Pennell. And he's fantastic. He reached out to me. I think he had, quote, did whatever our stuff that we did on him. He was like,
he
oh,
did
man,
a TikTok about it.
Yeah.
That was the one you showed?
Yeah. Shout out Tyler. Keep it up.
Mr. Busher. So good kid. So Tyler Pennell is his name. Give him a follow as soon as you can, and he keeps you up on a bunch of stuff. Also gives some betting stuff that's just about as terrible as ours. Yep. So he's in good company. Martin Truex is retiring at the end of the 2024 season. How do you guys feel about that when that was – it wasn't a surprise, but give me your feedback. Spider, what did you feel when you heard that announcement official this week?
I wasn't surprised because based on the rumors we've heard the last couple seasons circulating about Martin Truex potentially flirting with the idea of retirement, especially as I said last week with the closure of Stewart-Haas Racing and 4 pretty good free agents on the market, at least 4. I think unfortunately Truex's hand was kind of I don't want to say forced, but he was forced to make a decision, and I think he was tired of dealing with the conversations about and uncertainty about what he was going to do in the future. So I think the best move for him was just to say, hey, I'm retiring, especially based on the fact it sounds like Denny Hamlin is going to prepare him a car at 2311 on, at his discretion. So I'm excited to see what comes of that. And it sounds like Martin will have the opportunity to come back and race in some tracks that he wants to in years to come, which I think is a win all the way around.
Yeah, I mean...
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Obviously, you can't be shocked by it because it was in the news, but I was always kind of on the side of, the media's talking more about Truex retiring than he is, and I don't even know if it's going to happen. So I guess I was in the wrong there. He just did it. He retired. I was a little bit shocked. I kind of somewhat expected him to be a kind of guy that, when he retires from racing, he's not getting back in a car ever. He did a lot of talk about, just doing it on his own schedule and kind of when he wants to rather than full time. So that kind of surprised me a little bit.
Were you guys sad? I was sad when I heard it. And again, it wasn't a surprise, but were you compare it to when you hear other sports greats retire or walk away from some of the sports that you were probably more invested in as a kid? All of a sudden, oh, Jeter's retiring. I don't give a shit about Derek Jeter, but I'm using him as an example.
Honestly, I think he's probably a pretty good example. This might sound mean towards Martin Truex, especially the way he's been running. He hasn't been bad by any means, but I feel like the best days are behind him. So I don't know. It's great seeing him have great finishing positions, but at the end of the day, I worry about his ability to win, especially given that there's tracks that are tailored Martin Truex tracks, and he's not had the results that us Martin Truex fans would have wanted. But I don't think he's completely washed up. He still very much is a great skilled driver. And I think, honestly, he could benefit from kind of taking after little bro. Ryan Truex seems to come in and pick his spots in the Xfinity Series, come in and win on a hand-picked, tailored limited schedule on the Xfinity Series. I would like to see Martin Truex come in and say, you know what, I'm going to run these 5 cup races, and they're all at tracks that I've, historically ran well at. I might have a chance to steal a win here.
All right, so Spider, I want you to open up, though. I want you to open up that heart. This is a guy that's been He's a very quiet, personal, and reserved guy.
Yeah.
But he's been very, very good to us from the day that we started this podcast. One of our first guests, one of our repeat guests. Like I had said when he sent me the corner panel and stuff, we beat that thing to death and whatnot.
Yep.
One of the people that we've defended against one, bitch in particular. I really feel like he's not part of the show, but certainly part of this show's fabric for as little as we're going. Isn't it kind of bittersweet? Are you kind of sad about not seeing him behind the 19 next year?
Yeah, I'm definitely sad, and I don't want to discredit or discount that at all. It's definitely a little sad to see someone like Martin Truex, walk away from the sport, a veteran household name, one of the kind of older guys that's made a lasting name for himself in the series, kind of against underdog narrative early in his career and kind of come all the way to win championships and race for the best teams. So it's definitely sad in that regard. But for me personally, the one thing that I'm telling myself is like, hey, if Truex were not to retire, does that mean one of these guys at Stewart-Haas Racing, one of these four guys, which is the same can be said about them, Large. Chase Briscoe and Noah Gragson have been great to us. We've had Josh Berry and done stuff with Ryan Preece as well. So as much as it sucks to see Truex walk away, I find solstice and peace and clarity knowing that ride will rightfully go to hopefully Chase Briscoe, who is well deserving, and another guy who's kind of like Truex. He's and not obviously right now, but he's paid his dues. He's kind of grinded for a team and worked his way up, proven he's got the skills, and now found his way into better equipment. So I'm very excited to see what it sounds like what Chase Briscoe can do with that 19 car next year.
I'm not that sad.
No,
Yeah, but you don't have a heart. I asked Spider.
I don't.
The other thing is
Spider actually is like me. I'm an emotional Irishman. Spider is an emotional Italian. I don't even know what the fuck you are, Quicks.
I'm an Irishman.
Absolute. Yeah, but it doesn't. You're not. You're a fucking brick. Is what you are. You don't. You know what I'm saying? Like you have no emotions about fucking anything.
If
right?
Truex died, I'm sad.
Okay.
I'm not sad because he's got 17 more races and has been borderline retiring for
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
I'm not happy either. Like it's which I guess goes back to being a brick. I'm not sad or happy. But yeah, I mean he's a legend. He's got to retire at some point. I don't know.
Well,
This one doesn't tug on my heartstrings.
Spider made a point that when Martin had sat down and talked to us, he talked about how the game had changed and how he would race on Sunday, then drink beer on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, then kind of get to the track on Friday and do it again, right?
Yeah.
And how that game has changed just like every other industry. One of the reasons did I ever tell you I worked on Wall Street? My old fucking industry is no longer any fun. So I could, it just happens. Very few people transition into something that becomes better within the same industry.
Yeah.
But this industry hasn't passed him by from a skill level because of how he's, performing. And he has a legitimate chance to be a champion on his last race,
Absolutely.
to win the last race.
Yeah.
Unlike other people who give it up a little bit too late. Like, I don't think anyone thought that Harvick was really going to make that run to be a champion last year. Martin's in the fucking mix, very much in the fucking mix, right? So, so it's not a talent thing. He didn't run out of talent or get too old for it, even though he's about to turn 44 at the end of June, from Marietta, New Jersey.
Yeah, that's the other thing I want to point out, Large.
Go.
I think it's easy for someone like Quiggs, who grew up around like the heart of NASCAR in North Carolina. Us Yankees, Large. Well, I mean, I'm a Connecticut kid. You're a New Jersey guy. A guy like Truex, I know. Now, I mean, as a Connecticut guy, we have Logano and Ryan Preece. But, I mean, it always sucks to see veteran, likable drivers step away, especially when they're from kind of your neck of the woods and you got a similar rooting interest in them for that reason. So I don't know. I think I always appreciated Martin for kind of bringing the New York, New Jersey audience to NASCAR. And now I feel like there's a void in that. So I don't know.
How about fuck Chase Briscoe? We bring up Joe Graff Jr. from Mahwah, New Jersey. He brings the Wawa car to the 19, right? The Wawa with okay, we'll figure it out.
That's what Joe Gibbs wants right now.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just throwing it out there. I like Joe Graff a lot. Anything else, Quiggs? Did I cut you off?
No, that was it. Just talking about how not sad I was.
Is Briscoe the guy? I mean, it seems
sounds
like it's
like
an
he
imminent
is.
thing. Yeah.
I saw a tweet from one of the journalists, I forget who exactly, but someone said to expect Chase Briscoe to the 19 announcement coming this week. So, I mean, good. Like I said several times in the show, we're big fans of Chase Briscoe. He's been great to us. I think he's proven himself. I think he's the best prospect out of the 4 coming out of Stuart Haas, closing down. And it's great to hear that he seemingly has options. It sounds like multiple opportunities have been presented to him, and it's now on Chase to kind of choose his own adventure. So I'm really looking forward to what comes out of Chase Briscoe next year as a guy that's been supporting him for the last couple of years. I think next year is a great opportunity for him, wherever it might be.
Then because you and I both like Chase Briscoe,
Yep.
particularly me knowing that his wife's pregnant with twins. Like, I had a layoff once when my wife was pregnant. It was fucking it was terrifying. Everything worked out okay, thankfully. But so we're very, very happy for him, and we think he's the right guy. So let me ask the Brick, right? Like, taking all of that out of it, is Chase Briscoe the right guy for that? And if not, who's that guy who's very close, who should be in that seat if it's not Chase Briscoe?
So I think it will be Chase Briscoe, and I think he's deserving. But this is probably another topic that you have on the sheet. Mm-hmm. There's another name that kind of opened himself up for it that I don't even know if he's the right guy, but he's a big name and pretty tempting. Like, he could be
Are we
a
talking
bigger
about
get.
Kyle Busch?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to it. So Kyle Busch made some, and listen, we'll talk about Martin Truex throughout the rest of the season. I'm hoping that he does get some sort of victory lap type thing with the boots when he goes, like all that kind of bullshit. And we wish him nothing but happiness. I will tell you, when we did the Michigan race, we were grand marshals at the Cabo Wabo. Shout out them again. Martin, everyone brings their family. We got to see 80 people with Ryan Blaney. They must have showed those same fucking 80 people 30 times.
Yeah.
I don't have any problems with the move from Fox to NBC, but we get it. Ryan Blaney had a bunch of people with matching fucking T-shirts. Congrats. Marty brings...
I must have been his 81st fan, by the way. Maybe my invite got lost in the mail. That's what I'm going with, but I would have loved to be there.
Gianna wasn't there.
No.
I didn't see his lovely fiance. They didn't get married yet, I don't believe, right? No.
I don't think so. No, I think they're still engaged for the time being. But yeah, 80 people. That was great to see Blaney hold on and get the win. And like I said, mine must have got lost in the mail.
Yeah. But so Kyle Busch made this was Saturday. It was actually before the race to Packris when Packris had said, would he be open to returning to Joe Gibbs Racing or Hendrick Motorsports? And he said, yes. I would be open to going back to either one of those. And it was a leading question that Bob Packris had asked. It wasn't like he just said out of the blue, I'm openly looking for another seat, even though he's got a year and a half left on the deal with RCR. But there was also a better way for Kyle Busch to have answered that question without cucking Richard Childress.
Yeah.
Right?
It was a leading question, but not as leading as his answer was.
As his answer.
He didn't
and this is, in the wake of him getting punched in the face and saying in front of one of the RCR guys, I'm just as bad as you, Ricky Stenhouse. Like, I'm also a piece of which we all know he's not. He's a Hall of Fame driver, so then that sort of, alludes to the fact that maybe he's not in good equipment or he's with a good team. Maybe. But there is no gray area with that. And this wouldn't be the silliest thing that happens this silly season if he leaves within contract to go to one of those big boys. So Kevin Harvick hated it. Kevin Harvick hated the fact that he had done that, said it was extremely disrespectful. I'll side on the side of Kevin Harvick with that because I don't know how I'd feel right now if I was Richard Childress. But what do you guys think about that? Because that's what is he the guy that should be in the 19 for 2 or 3 years?
I'm going to contrary Kevin Harvick's take. As a guy that sat in the booth the first half of the season, was pretty much critical of the team that he formerly raced for. Not saying it was not justified. I agree with what Kevin Harvick was saying and the shots he took at SHR. But that being said, this is a little bit hypocritical. Kyle Busch is struggling at RCR. They're giving him lesser equipment than he had. He very much is justified in taking a little, slight shot at his team and telling them they need to be better. You look at RCR's Xfinity program, and they're competing. They're in contention every week. They're competitive. Jesse Love and Austin Hill are battling for wins at every single track, seemingly every single week. And there is a massive disconnect with RCR on the Cup side. I don't think that's Kyle Busch's fault. Sure, I think he's maybe, got a little hot sometimes and inflicted a poor result on certain races this year because, like I said, he's lost his cool and freaked out and made poor decisions. But I think he's way better of a driver than what we've seen, and I think he has the right to be critical of RCR. With that being said, I think Kyle Busch will race for RCR next year. I don't see him leaving. The same source that told me 2 years ago that Kyle Busch was going to RCR months before anyone else even reported it, I texted him as this story was getting legs, and I said, hey, are you seeing these theories about Kyle Busch going back to Joe Gibbs? And he replied and said, quote, I think it is more likely that the Pope turns Jewish than KFB returns to Joe Gibbs Racing. And I completely agree. I think maybe if Kyle Busch is going to leave, he goes to 2311. But then again, I don't see that happening because we just heard Denny Hamlin say, not Denny Hamlin himself, we've heard the journalists say that Denny Hamlin and 2311 are greatly exploring an opportunity, a potential scenario in which Riley Herbst, essentially his family, pays for the charter and puts him as the third 2311 car next year. That, to me, leads me to believe that 2311 is not flush in cash. They do not have the money to pay Kyle Busch one of the top salaries in the sport, find him sponsorship, and also pay for the charter that would require adding him to their team. For that reason, I think Kyle Busch remains at RCR next year. I would love to see personally Alex Bowman get fired from the 48 and Kyle Busch be hired in that place. If you want a driver who cannot win a race, why not hire Kyle Busch instead of Alex Bowman? That's my piece on this scenario. I think Kyle Busch remains with RCR next year.
But, Spider, before you go, because it seems like you're heading out after that, you mic dropping. Do you think it was the right move by Kyle Busch to say that? To answer the way that he did?
You know what you're getting with Kyle Busch. You signed him 2 years ago for the hot, fiery Kyle Busch, and now you have to pay the repercussions. You can't be up in arms, oh, we're surprised, we never expected this from Kyle Busch. The expectation was for him to win races. He did that early on at Fontana. He has not done that since. I think he very much is within his bag to be chirping his team. I'll leave it at that.
Is it in with Richard Childress's bag if Kyle Busch does not win a race? If he does not win a race this season and does not make the playoffs, right now, he's not a playoff driver, and he has no wins. If 2024 is a bust for Kyle Busch, does Richard Childress then say, you know what? After those comments that you made, remember those comments that you made? You're out. We'll bring in Austin Hill. You can walk away from the last year thing. We don't fucking want you. And then Kyle Busch is now looking for a job as opposed to having Hendrick say, hey, listen, we're looking to, which isn't going to happen. And
I would
is it
not
within Hendrick's thing? Excuse me, Richard Childress.
Yeah, I think Richard's going to be pissed about this. I think Harvick was, like, in defense, as much as I said I disagree with what Harvick was saying, he was saying it because he and I both know that Richard Childress is probably going to be pissed about what Kyle Busch said. At least that's my take. I can't envision RC being okay with this, especially given that his reaction to Tyler Reddick leaving with no notice for 2311, and he put out a crazy PR statement that looked like he wrote it himself. So I don't think he's going to react to this well. I could see that scenario, honestly. I think that's a little bit probably outside chance, but if he does go winless, I could see RC trying to pin their shortcomings on Kyle Busch, although I feel as though that would be hard to do when Austin Dillon is not performing overly well either. And I'm a fan of both those drivers. I want to make that abundantly clear.
You're Richard Childress, Quiggs, and the meeting is this week, and they bring that up. What do you say? Like, I know that Joe Gibbs gave Denny Hamlin an earful last year when Denny said on this show first, like we said, who would you be rooting for to get into the playoffs? A 2311 driver? It was Reddick versus Bell. Like, who was left in the playoffs, right? Who are you rooting for? And he said, Reddick. And then Joe Gibbs was like, what the fuck did you just say? I'm the guy who signs your check. This is the guy who signs his fucking checks You know, outside of your spouse, there's nobody more important in your fucking life than the guy who puts food in your kids' mouths. And I know Kyle's got plenty of, but does Richard Childress say, you know, pack up your shit at the end of the season?
Well, I don't know. No. So
Okay.
the way that he was talking, it seems like there's just long-term, like ongoing serious issues where Kyle Busch hates RCR and does not want to be there. And I don't think that's probably the first time Richard Childress has heard it. It makes it a lot bigger mess when you say it publicly and everybody knows. But he definitely couldn't be happy with those comments. That's like athlete PR 101. It's like never talk about how you'd rather be on another team than your own, which he did. He said if there was an offer from either of those teams, it wasn't like I'd listen to it, I'd look into it. He said he'd be there. Like he was like, if I had an offer from Hendrick or Joe Gibbs, I would be racing there.
Send him to the 48.
But you also have to think about, it is Kyle Busch, and whatever Kyle Busch is now, he's still Kyle Busch. If you drop him, get Austin Hill, and Austin Hill doesn't pan out, and he's just kind of like one of those younger Xfinity guys that come up and can't get it going, which I think Austin Hill will be good. But if it is, then your team is Austin Dillon and a rookie who's not very good, and the state of RCR is not looking good compared to even when Kyle Busch is bad. At least you have Kyle Busch on the team and a name that might attract some advertisers.
I just think there's a lot of guys right now, some of which that come with funding or money, the Riley Herbsts of the world, that theoretically, if, you know, RC was holding a grudge with KFB and he's saying, hey, I don't feel as though this car can win anyways. Would I rather, you know, guaranteed sponsorship or pay Kyle Busch $10 million
a little
year
bit,
and
but
do
just
all
like
the legwork?
For the state of the team, do you think it's great if your team is Austin Dillon and Riley Herbst? For just in general, like if that's what RCR is
If Kyle
now.
Busch doesn't win a race or make the playoffs this year, I think it's a much easier decision, right? Like if all of a sudden he peels off 2 wins, you know, before the end of the season, which he can very well do, at least one, then it changes things. But if, to Spider's point, if Richard Childress decides to be, you know, angry about this, don't support him anymore, perhaps even less. You know, try to not submarine your own team, and then be like, you know, this was a failure for us too, and we're not taking all the blame. Take care. Although bringing up Austin Hill then cannibalizes from that elite Xfinity team, which is right now Big Country and Jesse Love, right? That's a cool little thing that they have going on there. So I don't know. It's a weird thing. We're not even done talking about.
I'd like to see. Kyle Busch just sold Rowdy Energy. He sold his truck team. He's got to have some jingle in his pocket, especially after the M&M's contract paid him as the most highest paid driver for, what, like 15 years, something like that. The Fort Charter is still not accounted for. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. Kyle Busch, one of the richest active drivers. Lock that up. Maybe you drive it for the next 10 years. You pass it down to Brexton. Bring back Kyle Busch Motorsports.
You think there's a part of him that like wouldn't want to have his own cup team just because then he would have like nobody to blame when he loses?
Well, part of me feels like he loves
having somebody to blame.
I don't know. Part of me feels like he's a guy that wants total control.
He does.
He's probably looking at RCR being like, damn, they have all this and they, you know, this is where we're at.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He
seems like a guy that strikes me as, I can do things better. But
what about Sam Mayer? So he drives the number 1 Chevy Camaro. He clinched his 6th career victory in Saturday's Xfinity race in Iowa and OT. Then he expressed some concern that his name hasn't been a consideration in all these silly season moves. More specifically, when asked why a Cup team has yet to sign him, this is what he said. This is the quote from this kid. It kind of pisses me off, to be honest with you. I feel like we proved ourselves a lot more, like I'm dead serious. So that's again, no gray area. Sam Mayer is a 20-year-old kid. He turns 21 next week. 6 wins. Nice win this weekend. all that's. By the way, did you see when we're mentioning Riley Herbst? Riley Herbst right afterwards took out his fucking back wheel in the cool down lap after he won.
That was a great race,
burnout
by
on
the
3
way.
tires. Great fucking race.
A great race.
Yeah. What do you think about that? What do you think about Sam Mayer saying, "Hey, what about me?" Everyone's talking about all this silly season shit. What about Sam? I haven't been able to drink a legal beer yet, but how come I'm not in the? And we like Sam Mayer. He's an Arctic kid.
Yeah.
One of the Arctic kids. We've met him a couple times. Great personality. I love the kid, and I think he's a very good driver. But how do you feel about it? Is it too young for a kid to be talking up like that?
Yeah, pump the brakes, Sam Mayer. I love you. I'm rooting for you, but 20 years old, you still got some time to marinate and tailor your skill set. Be careful what you wish for would be my advice. Rushing into a cup seat is not always the best move. We saw, Zane Smith just basically skip Xfinity and do everything to get that cup ride, and now it seems like he might have got himself in a tighter situation than if he just played the long game. I think Sam Mayer needs to pump the brakes. I mean, it's easy to do something good and then expect flowers for it. Like, I'm that kind of guy all the time. Every time I give a scoop on this show, I expect the comment section to be like, W Spider, great job. But sometimes it doesn't happen. Like, for example, we had Dale Jr. on the show. The week before the Dale Jr. show, I told you explicitly exactly what the announcement was going to be. What happened? Dale Jr. came on the pod the next week, told us explicitly what happened. What happened from there? No one said, oh, W Spider, great job. He was right. I just went on with my life. Sometimes that's how it goes. Sometimes you don't get your flowers, Sam. Mm-hmm. So just keep doing your thing. Stay in the box. Keep taking good cuts, and you're going to be there. He's had great... he's broken through seemingly in the last 2 seasons. So I think, as much as success as he's found recently, don't blow your whole load too early. Build on it.
And he's been doing this for a while. Like, he signed Dale Jr.'s late model program in 2018 and only 15 years old, and he was just 17 when he clinched his first truck win at Bristol. But everyone's been doing this for a long time. How many of these drivers that we see, we see them basically in diapers, running fucking midgets, and running go-karts and stuff like that. So that, even though the kid is very young and he's been doing it for a while, it doesn't check.
Especially, Large, have a little self-awareness. I mean, this is the most sought-after free agent class. Yeah. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse right now, but you have 4 full-time Cup drivers that are without jobs. Then you have 4 probably deserving Xfinity drivers that have paid their dues, that are a little bit older than Sam, that come with funding or sponsorship already, that are pretty much ready to make the jump. So I'm rooting for Sam, but I kind of feel as though he needs to pump the brakes.
It's a timing thing. It's like one of those things where a quarterback is really good, but maybe you stay an extra year because if you go in this draft class, you'll be picked like way later. But if you wait a year, let this silly season die down where there's so many options, maybe you'll be the hottest thing on the market next year.
He's like Aaron Rodgers when the Packers still had Brett Favre, like he's just marinating and ready for greatness and his opportunity. But I think it will come in time.
This year is not the year to come out if you don't have to. There's just so many options and moving parts which in a way there's a lot of open seats, but also there's a lot of unemployed drivers at the end of the season. So I guess that could go both ways. But I think if he waits a year, he might be the guy everybody wants.
Although if he goes on to win like a championship in Xfinity this season, I think he might jump ahead of some of those guys that I've mentioned that might be positioning for the next Cup rides that become available from the Xfinity series to make the jump.
If he wins the championship, which, we're more than halfway through the season, but it's still some time. Denny had said on Actions Detrimental, I'm definitely of the opinion winning on Friday or Saturday is better than running 25th on Sunday.
1,000,000%.
And he said, and I don't think it's close. So jump in a bad seat or dominate a lower series in and then get a chance in a Cup car that can actually compete.
Yeah.
I think that's the smarter play, but you just don't know what's going on, down the road. Sam Mayer just doesn't know. I don't know. I'm torn for the kid, but I lean on the side to be pump the brakes a little.
I like to think that this headline was kind of like a "don't forget about me" type thing. You know what I'm saying?
Great from a marketing perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like his agent put this out there to keep him in the news or something. I don't know. That's kind of the vibe I get.
Yeah.
And the follow-up story when he wins the Xfinity Championship this year, whatever, is coming back. Remember when he said back in June how he should have been considered? This is his whatever, is his victory lap on that. So, yeah, maybe he's setting himself up for something big. So he's playing chess and we're playing checkers. The tournament that we didn't sign up for, the bracket challenge, that's going into the Final Four this weekend, going into New Hampshire. And the 4 drivers left, so 2 head-to-head matchups, are going to be Logano, the 17 seed, versus Chase Elliott, the 4 seed. Again, this is just at New Hampshire. Whoever finishes better then moves on to the finals. And the other side of the bracket, all that's left is Reddick, the 6 seed, versus Chastain, the 10 seed. I don't know. I don't know how these people are doing, because when Austin Cindric started this thing by winning a race, it blew a lot of people's brackets out of the fucking water. But this seems kind of reasonable. At the end of the day, it's not, I don't know, it's not anything weird. Logano versus Elliott and Reddick versus Chastain, 17 versus 4 seems like a pretty big divide between those two gentlemen. How do you guys feel about that? And how do you feel, who's the predictions on who's going to win this whole thing with those 4 drivers left?
Well, I'll just go chalky. I'm going to take Elliott only because I don't know if this were like a sports book or something, and the 17 seed had like juicy plus value, I would take it.
Yeah.
But given it's an even pick'em, I've really been impressed with Chase Elliott this year. He seemed to kind of get out of the slump we saw last year following his injury. He's got back in victory lane, and he had another strong recently. He's been strong with some great finishes. So I like Chase Elliott. The rest of these guys, to me, seem kind of like feast or famine. Logano's been good this year in certain spots, but, I mean, other spots he's looked horrible. Excuse me. And then Chastain, I feel like every time I bet on him, he either wins the race or finishes dead last. So it would be between Elliott or Reddick for me, and I'll stick with the bow ties.
Yeah, I think Elliott or Reddick, because what they have, it's just next race is the final, or 2 more?
No. So it's just Logano versus Elliott. Yeah. Oh, yeah. In New Hampshire, and then the following week we'll get the final.
So the final will be the Chicago Street Race, or no, Nashville.
Yeah.
That's
what I think. I believe so.
I think I'd go with Reddick then. I don't know.
Yeah.
I could see Logano winning it.
I could see Logano
like
beating
just out of
Chase.
nowhere.
Yeah. And also, you got to think.
Yeah, I'll take Logano. I'll take the 17 seed.
I could easily see Chastain
Chastain could do it too,
ahead of Reddick. Yeah, I think so. What I'm saying is that this is a tester to what NASCAR is going to be doing next year. I think it really died down in popularity. Everybody thought this would be kind of like a March Madness bracket where everyone's paying attention, and that's unreasonable to think that it would happen in the first season. So I hope it's not judged as a success or a failure with this season. But next year, when NASCAR is pumping and constantly giving updates, there'll be more buzzes around it. But I think this Final Four is relatively sensible, and it's good for the bracket to not all of a sudden have, it be Daniel Hemrick versus, like, you know what I mean? Like have an outlier that's easy to maybe bet against.
Yeah.
So,
and it needs to be, which it won't be for this year, obviously, but in order for people to care and it to gain attention, it needs to be talked about on the broadcast, and they have to have what they have for like the Xfinity, what Dash for the Cash, where it's like kind of like on the leaderboard, you see those guys against each other. And I think it'll be way better next year when everybody's behind it.
Yeah,
obviously.
once the broadcast is in it, and I think they'll do a better job of promoting it too, hopefully, with the actual NASCAR socials. That way us idiots can actually enter in time.
Yeah.
I think next year, I'm looking forward to it very much.
Big news, IndyCar moves to Fox Sports in 2025 after 16 seasons with NBC, giving the network 2 of the biggest races in the world. The Indianapolis 500 and NASCAR's Daytona 500 will both be on Fox Sports in 2025. And the reason that NBC couldn't match what Fox is doing is all 17 IndyCar races will receive network broadcasts. They won't be pushed off onto, a USA or a Fox Sports 1. And Fox will be moving its UFL coverage to Fridays in order to make room. I don't have a lot to say about this, but it seems like a really big headline. It's great for fucking IndyCar.
I think it's kind of great for racing because, as you said, all the races now will be on network TV with no additional packages being required, which I think is good. Rising tides lift all ships in racing, even though IndyCar is not my preferred cup of tea. I also think it's a dub for the reason that hopefully now that NBC is solely in on NASCAR and doesn't have IndyCar to worry about, the coverage will be 10x better. I think the first half of the season we saw from Fox, the booth did a good job, as we previously talked about, but the production truck was in shambles. I would not trust Fox to do complete coverage of my series, and I'm glad that it's not NASCAR that is relying on them for all of their seasons. Hopefully NBC can do more of what we saw this past weekend with their great coverage. We had a great post-race and everything, so I was really impressed with their coverage, and hopefully now that NBC's baby is exclusively NASCAR, they will put all their eggs in that basket, and it will provide even better broadcast.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, and I'm going to talk to you guys about the nuances between NBC and Fox in a couple of minutes. One tweet that I had seen before we move on, Kenny Wallace. So Twitter now is not showing who liked what, right? So you can like all the Biden tweets you want, Quiggs, and not be labeled a liberal.
In safety, yeah.
Yes, exactly. I can, I don't have to use my burner to like all the Andrew Tate posts and stuff. So Kenny Wallace says, after watching what Noah Gragson went through for liking something, he said 7 years ago, Elon Musk made the right call. As Kenny Wallace said. What a fucking tweet from Kenny Wallace. I didn't think about that. You know what I mean? The anonymity would have had Noah still in the legacy ride and not potentially look for a job at the end of the season. So anyway, just wise stuff from Kenny Wallace. Only one DM, and I thought there was a good one. It was a guy named Frank. I'm crying as I'm listening to Marry, Fuck, Kill for Trackcast celebrations. Please do one every week. No.
I'm glad Frank enjoyed that. That was literally probably the hardest thing I had to figure out with last week.
And I don't know. We just came up with it last minute. For people who weren't here. So breaking the piñata for Suarez, smashing the watermelon for Chastain, or kicking the rugby ball and injuring kids for Van Giesenbergen. Which one? Marry, fuck, kill. And Quigg spent a lot of time fucking a piñata. It was weird. And then so he do one every week. We can't. There's no way we'd be able to come up with it every week. But I will tell you, I would probably marry Dale Jarrett. I would have to kill Marty Snyder for no other reason that I just want to see what Brad Daugherty's packing. So I would fuck Brad Daugherty. I'd marry Dale Jarrett and probably have to kill Marty Snyder. I don't know if you guys all are in agreement with that. Yes?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
You got Brad.
You got a Brad.
I need to know what he's working with.
So we'll try to throw one of those in every now and again without getting taken off the air. So let's talk about the race. Let's talk about people crazy about this race. They got like 90 some odd % on that Jeff Gluck poll. So good for them. That's fantastic. There was an extra long practice for the Cup guys, 50 minutes as opposed to 20. Gave them some clue on how to handle the tire wear that they'd seen in the Xfinity race and whatnot. They used the word camber a lot. They always kind of come up with certain things to talk about on certain races, and camber was all over the place. It's, how they situate the wheels from being flat to tilted slightly, either negative or positive camber inside the wheel well, outside the wheel well, and they used it so often when talking about this track in Iowa. As soon as the race started, there was an all-Spire caution in lap 4 with LaJoie, Zane, and Hocevar. Denny wasn't a factor in this race for the most part, had some early issues, and then later on, Blaney won stage 1, Larson won stage 2. Larson was in a fucking rocket ship, just climbing through traffic at will until Suarez, got a little bit loose because Larson took the middle lane. They went 3 wide. Suarez got into Larson. Larson got up into the wall. Denny got into Larson. Larson's day was ended, even though he was legitimately in a fucking rocket ship. Yeah. And then after leading 201 laps, Blaney got his 11th career win. Like I had said before, even though Gianna wasn't there, who we love on this show, and I think is loved universally, beautiful girl and wonderful, bonk, his dad was. 80 people, and his dad was there on Father's Day, which is really, really fucking cool. So congratulations to Ryan Blaney. And all around, people loved fucking Iowa. Everything about it. What did you guys think about the race walking away from this thing?
I thought it was great. Like I said, I thought both the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series were exciting. Xfinity Series had a great finish, and then the Cup Series, I thought that for a second, my outright of Byron was 16-1. I thought he was going to be able to run Blaney down. And ultimately, when he wasn't able to run him down, it wasn't like the race was spoiled. It wasn't like I wanted to turn it off and it was decided and I knew Blaney was going to win. I felt as though like, oh, it was still exciting to see watching Blaney actually get a win and then seeing him celebrate with the 80-plus fans there. Like, it was the whole race throughout was exciting. You had Larson making aggressive moves, forcing the 3 wide. Unfortunately, he got wrecked and he got put in the wall. I had a little live wager on him, so I was bummed about that. But I don't know. I thought everything about the race was relatively exciting, especially the fact that it was on a new track. That adds a little bit for me in terms of why excitement and viewing and why it's important to watch and like my inability to look away. So I'm interested to see if that will ever kind of like wear off, because I know some of these tracks that we go to now, NASCAR adds to the schedule, I feel like kind of lose their luster after we've done the clash there once or twice or whatever it may be. So, but no, Iowa seems like it can have a lasting spot on the NASCAR Cup Series from what I saw this past weekend. I do agree with some of the drivers. Maybe a full repave would be cool to see what it is all capable of. But I think it's a great dub, and we had a great race with the new addition on the new track. So all things successful.
Let me get your take on it, Quiggs, and I'll get your further take on it, Spider, and the over-under, because I think there was stuff that went wrong and went right this weekend, and just a couple of things that went wrong, really not much that I had seen. But before we do, we'll do that Nobody's Cooler, which is brought to you by Arctic. By the way, if you're watching this on Rumble, we have one of these other Arctic coolers in front of us. Rubbin is racing with Spider and Large. This is the one where you can make your own jungle juice.
That's the best one, I think. It's a water cooler.
It's unbelievable.
Awesome.
Yeah. So you can make shark. We used to do shark bites all the time, but yeah. So you make it in here. There's actually a thing up top where you can pour more booze or anything that you want into it. This locks, but once you take the lock off, then you just pour it. It's got the 2 spigots on either end.
The clips are genius. That way, if you throw it in like a truck bed or something, it's not going to spill. The clips keep it from
100%.
actually opening.
It's exactly. If you want to just use it as a cooler.
Yeah.
So Arctic. So
it's
if you guys don't know,
too.
Yeah, we believe here at Rubbin is Racing in quality gear that doesn't demand a whole paycheck, right? And Arctic Coolers gives us that. Arctic Coolers and drinkware are overbuilt, not overpriced, meaning their durable products cost 30 to 50% less. Premium coolers and drinkware engineered to perform and overbuilt to last year after year. So there's ultra tough coolers, ultra light wheeled coolers with all terrain wheels we know will last 100 miles an hour when Sam, whatever mayor is driving them. Soft pack coolers, insulated drinkware, cool shit like this. That locks in the temperature whether your drinks are icy cold or red hot. Arctic is now available at Walmart. Head to your local store to shop in person. And don't forget, Arctic Outdoors is the official cooler and drinkware of NASCAR. So head to arcticoutdoors.com. Check out more. That's RTIC outdoors.com. arcticoutdoors.com. Yeah, check out this thing. I don't even know what the hell it's called, but it's absolutely beautiful. The Halftime Water Cooler. It's a 3-gallon one. So they just sent this over to me.
I think they have a 6-gallon one too. So
do they really?
Yeah.
Oof,
if you're throwing a big party, get the big boy.
Ramps it up. Little sangria maybe inside that
Arnold
thing?
Palmer in there.
Me and Spider had a product idea for them last week that I never brought up.
Yeah, bring it up.
If we there's got to be some way where you could get just the top of coolers to be like the hoods of race cars, get a licensing deal, and it just like folds up, like opens up like you're lifting up the hood of the car.
That would be sick.
There's something there.
That would be awesome. Yeah. You want me to reach out? I'll reach out to Chris now.
Yeah.
The CEO is on the celly. No big deal.
I'm sure they've probably had this idea too. But
they must
if
have.
they haven't,
right.
There's something.
They could use the 8 font if they want.
Yeah.
If you guys don't mind, I'm going to give the Nobody's. So every week we give Nobody's Cooler to somebody who thought was very cool on the racetrack this week. Maybe not the winner or anything like that. Not necessarily a winner. As a matter of fact, we've never picked the winner to do this. This week I'm giving it to Tyler Reddick. I thought it was kind of cool. There's so many attitudes in and around professional sports with athletes, even in NASCAR. I don't think a lot of guys like to get hit with a pie in the face for the benefit of their sponsors, quite like Tyler Reddick. And I admire that. So showing up to this race in full Hamburglar gear, his fire suit had the bullshit tie painted on it, the white and black stripes, and him wearing the big Hamburglar hat, just embracing the shit out of it. Can I ask you guys, is it as admirable to you guys as it is to me to see a guy be that self-deprecating? Because I loved seeing this.
Yeah, you got to be able to make fun of yourself and be light and like have jokes. And Tyler Reddick has one of the best sense of humors on pit road from seemingly what my perspective. So I think the sponsorship is match made in heaven. And I loved even seeing Bubba and the bright. Was he in Grimace?
Grimace.
Yeah,
he was in
and then I
Grimace.
think he did the birdie one a couple weeks ago.
Did he?
Or
Yeah.
maybe he's planning to do that one. But all the McDonald's designs have been fire. I think they've done a great job with that partnership.
The purple, right? The Grimace thing, that is not overly specific, right? Because you can wear purple before. Having the white and black stripes stood out. So, and he kind of has
The red hair.
Yeah, Reddick's got the little lacrosse lettuce, the red hair type thing that does resemble the Hamburglar to a degree. Spider and I think Quiggs also follows somebody on Twitter, Nascar Chasm. We've spoke to the gentleman a couple times. Absolutely great. Another follow. Us shouting out. Follow NASCAR Sarcasm.
Something like that.
Yeah. Guy's very, very good at what he does.
He's awesome.
The best
And
at what he does.
He was like just lying in bed thinking about how much better this confrontation would have been if Tyler was dressed like the Hamburglar. And he has Chris Buescher in fucking Tyler's face. And then somebody else wrote, Buescher yells at Tyler, "We've always raced each other clean. You got a sticker and I don't. What were you thinking?" And Tyler Reddick just saying back, "Robble, robble." That would have been fucking awesome. I mean, it would never have happened, but man, that would have been great. So nobody's cooler than Tyler Reddick as far as I'm concerned this week. So congratulations and thank you, Arctic, for the continued support. All right, so this is what I was saving it for the over-under, Spider. Give me an idea of what Fox versus NBC, and Quiggs also. Give me an idea of what Fox versus NBC meant to you this week, now that we now have it in the can. We've seen what NBC can do versus what Fox can do. Let me know where the differences were.
Yeah, I think a Dale Jr.-less NBC broadcast ate Fox's lunch.
Right.
They blew him out of the water. They didn't rush off the air as soon as the race was over. They actually did the opposite. They stuck around on the air. We heard several driver interviews. We heard, Brad and the rest of the crew break down what the race we just saw. I was much more impressed with NBC, like top to bottom. Fox. I like the booth. I like Mike Joy. I like Clint. I like obviously the addition of Harvick this year was a good, fresh change of pace. But I just think that the watching on NBC just seemingly was exponentially better.
I agree, and I think there's one simple thing that NBC does that's pretty easy to do and makes the race way better is the way they use double boxes to show the race for the lead and then also something else that's happening. They use that so much more than Fox does, and it lets you see so many more little battles without missing the race for the lead. The double box of like you said, they showed Blaney's family a lot, but majority of the time it was in that little double box as he's racing, which only adds to it, doesn't like take away anything. Where Fox, if they did that, they might have done just full screen Blaney's family and you're missing battles for the lead. That the double box, the NASCAR like side by side, whatever, where it's commercials, and they seem to do a lot more of that, where they have the race going on while it's in commercial. Just broadcast was awesome compared to Fox.
I thought what was interesting about that split screen that you're talking about too was that there wasn't necessarily the race for the lead in one of those boxes.
Yeah, they would do
for a while
double.
there. You just knew that it was Blaney, out there in front in clean air. So they were showing you the battle for 6th and the battle for 16th.
Yeah.
You weren't even watching the leader. And I know that Fox never gave us that. They never took off the race for the lead, which I know maybe seems to make sense. But the way that NBC did it made sense. I will tell you right now, everybody's blowing NBC versus Fox. I like the booth with Fox a lot more. And I know it's because you kind of get used to it after a couple of weeks, recency bias or whatever, but I did. I missed Harvick, Boyer, and Mike Joy. So
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a way to, and I don't want anybody else to lose their job, and they're going to have, different crew in there this weekend, I believe. But I do. I did miss those guys. And even Kevin Harvick's wife, Delana, she tweeted out, there's a picture of just Kevin sitting on the couch with a glass of wine watching the race. And she's
Yeah.
like, I haven't seen this in, decades,
True.
including this year, his retirement year, because he was at the track, not as much, but very much or a lot because of his broadcasting duties. So I miss those guys, but I'm sure that as the year goes on or as the rest of the season progresses, these guys will be endeared to me more and more.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with the way Brad, Dale, and Marty had done, but I just thought that the thing was better.
I think
Go
that
ahead.
from the IndyCar moving over to Fox, I think the biggest benefit of that will be if Fox just repackages what they do for NASCAR and week 1 IndyCar races, and IndyCar learns what the Fox broadcast is and absolutely doesn't put up with it. Because NASCAR Twitter complains, but we know what we got. We're used to it.
Right.
You got to wait till, if you really hate it that much, wait till halfway through the season you get NBC. I think if IndyCar fans just throw an absolute fit at what they get from Fox, Fox may actually make some changes to improve the broadcast, and then I think what they do for IndyCar will kind of just be repackaged for what they do for NASCAR, and I think it'll benefit everyone.
Less flashy. It seemed more NASCAR-y.
Yeah.
No cartoons. They have those same cartoons. They put them on Fox and don't look necessarily
driver
like the drivers
graphics.
and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a little bit less of that. I don't know if I missed it or not. I thought one of the cool things as far as an over-under is the start-finish line was a giant corn cob. I don't know. I think that kind of shit
That
is
is
cool.
cool.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I only got one over this week, and
Go.
that's my guy, Ricky Stenhouse. I took him top 10 plus 450, and he finished 5th. And there was almost that restart there where it looked like he was fucking in contention for a win there. Granted, there were a lot of laps left, a lot of race left, but he still finished P5. So I was really impressed with Stenhouse. I really picked my card last week based off previous Xfinity history and success at this track, and Stenhouse was one of those guys. So he delivered again on the Cup level this past week. So I'm taking the over on Stenhouse. He's the only over-under I have this week. Although, actually, I say that I'll take 2 unders. I'm going to take Larson for being way too aggressive and putting himself in a bad spot, going 3 wide with Suarez when he probably could have been a little bit more patient. And I'm going to take Denny Hamlin as well, as you said, large non-factor in this race. So
Larson
that's what I
said
got.
that he could have been a little bit more patient, maybe, but he just saw that he was climbing through traffic. He couldn't help himself. And even Suarez was very apologetic. He's like, I did not know if I did that on purpose. At first. Oh, by the way, congratulations. Suarez was sworn in as a U.S. citizen. Take notice, SVG. There's a legal way to do this shit. Daniel Suarez is doing it. You know what I mean? So you're fucking... You know what I'm saying, guys, right? Daniel Suarez is a good person. SVG, I don't know. But one of the other overs, I think, then would be Brad Daugherty, who got to sit in the booth and watch his guy grab a P5 while he's, and the other commentators were trying to egg him into talking about it, and he didn't want to show any kind of bias until he said, okay, I'll finally comment on it. But like you had said before, the after race coverage, they got to everybody. Fucking NBC reads a lot of Twitter, and they see what fucking people want, and they got to everybody, and I thought that was much appreciated. But the race did end on time also, so there wasn't any kind of restrictions and whatnot. What else did you like? Did you like anything else? I have a couple of things.
I'll give it over to Chase. I think I kind of not shit on him last week a little bit, but I almost said he wasn't deserving of where he was in the standings, and he kind of proved it. He just managed to get a P3, was really good this race, and I guess you get enough of those. That's why you're up at the top.
He has 7 top 5s in the last 11 races. 7 top 5s. And is the only driver in Cup to finish in the top 20 every race this season. He's the only driver to do that. No DNFs, and he's been a top 20 driver every week. He currently has a Cup best average finish of around 9 this season. Chase Elliott's having and a win, obviously. Chase Elliott's he's back. When we took him off the cards for a little bit, Chase Elliott's fucking back. I'll tell you, as long as I'm throwing out useless stats, I'm sorry about this, Spider. Bowman has 10 top tens. That's
Right.
the most of any winless driver, right?
And-
so he's also having an okay. He got a P8 this weekend, but 10 top tens, which is the most of any winless driver. So I'm just giving
listen.
credit.
My complaint with Bowman is his inability to win. I'm not saying he can't
Right.
finish top 10. I'm saying if Hendrick Motorsport is content with a guy in the 48 car that is seemingly not a threat to win, or at least hasn't been for the last 2 years, then they should strongly consider Kyle Busch, who hasn't won in a year plus at RCR. I think he has a way better opportunity. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm
By the way-
not discrediting what Alex Bowman is doing. I'm just saying everyone else on your team has won. You're in the best team. At some point, you got to put your nuts on the table and do it yourself. Top tens ain't cutting it in this
And
league.
it's also
Especially
one of
when Suarez and Cindric are stealing wins. You're going to
Yeah.
need to win at some point yourself to punch your own ticket. Top tens ain't going to do it.
and I'm not looking at the stats, but it also feels like if you move that number down to like top 7, top 8 finishes, a lot of those disappear. It feels like he has a lot of finishes where he's like 10th, 9th, maybe 8th.
Yeah, he was 8th this week.
Which
so
does
yeah,
mean
that
something.
tracks.
I mean, top 10 is top 10, but it seems like he's always like top 10, but never really competing to be in like the
like a win
the
for
race at the
him
end.
is a top 10, whereas a win for his teammates is actually crossing the finish line first.
yeah.
Okay. Joey finishing P6.
Yeah,
Jumps
that's-
KB to 17th in the standings. So now Joey's on that bubble, closer on the bubble. And so good for him. How'd you guys feel about – oh, by the way, I know that Blaney doesn't like to do burnouts and shit like that, but him doing the Polish victory lap in front of – by the way, did you hear he had 80 people there? In front of the 80 people, he did the Polish the Polish victory lap and then that pretty cool burnout. So I thought that was pretty fucking cool too. What did you think about Josh Berry? Josh Berry was a disruptor this week, wasn't he? I mean,
Yeah.
he seems like he's a guy that whenever somebody puts a microphone in his face, he's like, I am looking for a job. And we have a bunch of people working on this car who are also looking for jobs who deserve a job. And he's like, reminder, I'm a rookie. I'm old as shit. Not old as shit. I'm as old as shit. He's like, I might seem older, but I'm a rookie, and we're doing this and all this stuff. So he really does seem like somebody who's driving for his job. We don't mention him enough on this show, except when he's taking out foreign drivers, right? Remember when he went in and kind of got Kobayashi and fucking Van Giesenberg and then went after Kostecki or something like that? But I just thought it was worth mentioning. He was in there, and he's a fucking disruptor, aggressive driver this week. So I don't know if you put that as a plus or a minus.
Oh, no. I think Barry's a huge plus. I think he'd be the number one guy I'd go after this offseason.
Really?
Josh Berry?
I think.
Well, I think I would agree with that if, like I said previously on the show, it's
really
a package
underrated.
deal. I think if he, like, the 4 team seemingly has a good thing going.
Oh, the
so
whole
I'd like-
team.
I would like to see them all get poached together. Put them in the Wood Brothers 21 car.
21?
I think that would be probably.
No, Josh Berry deserves better than the
Well,
21.
okay? So what?
I don't know. I'm just.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how the dust settles. I personally am ranking Briscoe as the top dog out of Stuart Haas, and that's only because, like I said previously, he's the only guy there with a win. I've been encouraged with what we've seen out of Barry and Gregson this year, but Briscoe's still P1 for me.
Right.
Briscoe might be P3 for me.
Wow. Who are you putting second?
That's what I'm saying.
Gregson.
Like,
I feel like Noah's kind of come back down to life a little bit.
would you
Yeah,
rather
but-
see Gregson in the 19 than Briscoe?
Yes.
Well, I mean,
not necessarily like deserving of it or anything, but if I had to pick a guy out of those two, I think I'd put Gregson in the 19.
that's an unfair question because part of me wants to see Gregson get the 19 only because
Bass.
no, Ty Gibbs, Noah Gregson, teammates. What does that look like? I need to know what that looks like, how that goes. But in terms of actual qualified people for the job, I think it's Briscoe, in my opinion. Again, I'm a new rookie
and
NASCAR
I'm
fan.
also kind of less going off who's qualified and who I think is like hotter right now and could have a longer, better career. So that's kind of where my thought process on what I said is. And I don't even know if I believe it. I don't know if I believe any of this, you know?
Yeah, man. Life is a rope stretched
Yeah,
across the
what-
void. I'm telling you, the kid's a fucking. It's like doing
He's
a
a
podcast
philosopher.
with Friedrich Nietzsche.
Yeah.
Honestly, it is. Yeah. Let's hit a preview of New Hampshire NASCAR. But before, I want to remind everyone, NASCAR is coming to Chicago this summer. I was just there, and the town is buzzing about this race. 2 full days of racing and nonstop entertainment. 4th of July weekend, downtown Chicago, iconic Grant Park. Everybody's going to be there. Bunch of your favorite artists, including Keith Urban, the Chainsmokers, the Black Keys, and Lauren Elena. Lauren Elena is the one who's got the big backyard, right? Like, didn't she
Isn't
have
that's your girl? You're friends with her, kind of.
Yeah, I
kicked
don't know. I don't know what her backyard looks like, but
Oh, okay.
I am friends with her, and she's a great talent. So I'm
Is she?
looking forward to seeing her in Chicago here.
I believe she's caked up. The 2024 Chicago Street Race will be the most talked about event of the summer, and NASCAR is back. Purchase Barstool's $99 special ticket for general admission on Sunday. So details about that will be on our socials and whatnot. I'm going to be there. Spider's going to be there. Quig's going to be there. A bunch of people are going to be there for 4th of July weekend. We're going to have a good time. Manoli's going to jump down too. Oh, by the way, Manoli's back on the 1s and 2s. We want to thank Vinny for filling in for a couple of weeks, but we got Manoli back there just breathing an air of professionalism into this otherwise circus fucking show that we have. Let's go to New Hampshire finally. 9 races left in the regular season. 10 out of the 16 playoff spots are now spoken for with Blaney's wins. So we're heading to New Hampshire Motor Speedway, just over a mile, flat asphalt in Loudon, New Hampshire, dubbed the Magic Mile. The race is 301 laps. Why 301? Starting in 2008, organizers added an extra lap to represent a sponsor called Lennox Industrial Tools, who is looking for users and suppliers of industrial tools that go the extra mile. That's what made this a 301-lap race as opposed to 300. So the race was dubbed the Extra Mile at the Magic Mile, and it stuck. It used to be a twice-a-year stop for the Cup Series until 2017. Now it's just a one-timer, and it's where they get one of my favorite trophies when we did the trophy draft last season, Loudon the Lobster. It was just huge lobster. If Denny Hamlin does win this, keep an eye out. Denny Hamlin does not like fucking lobsters. Doesn't like fucking lobsters. He doesn't like holding lobsters at all. He gets grossed out by them. So if you see that, so everyone's got to pose with this giant lobster. After the photographs, people from Macros Restaurant pressure cook the 8 to 22 pound lobster, take out about 6 pounds of meat, flash freeze it, package it, and send it to the winning team's shop. And then a taxidermist reassembles the shell, repaints it to look like an uncooked lobster, mounts it as a trophy, which is then shipped to the winning driver. I think that's fantastic. I think it's the best trophy in NASCAR. Martin Truex is the defending champ. And the USA Today 301, that's what it's called. The USA Today 301 starts at 2:30 Sunday, and it's going to be shown on USA. How do you guys feel about this? You want to make some picks? We'll go into picking the tires. I don't know if anybody wants to go first.
I'm a little bit bummed because one site that I typically use to handicap these races is down right now. So,
Ooh. You want me to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, go ahead.
You want me to give a fun fact before we do this?
I would love to hear a fun fact.
But I never check the weather at these races ahead of time. I just looked at the weather. It does not look good.
That's one of the things I had written down. You son of a bitch. Joey Logano
First
was
time
the youngest winner ever at only 19 in a rain-shortened race way back in 2009, and there's rain in the forecast this weekend. It's one of the reasons I have Joey Logano on my fucking card. You just stole my thunder, fucking Quigs.
I didn't mean to.
No, yeah, it does. It looks.
I mean,
shitty.
the extent of the rain. I'll tell you the weather today: thunderstorms. The weather Thursday: thunderstorms. The weather Friday: thunderstorms. The weather Saturday: showers. The weather Sunday: thunderstorms. The weather Monday: thunderstorms.
What are they gonna do?
I don't know when they're gonna get this race in.
Just run it now. Fuck it.
Yeah, but I think it's only partial each day. Like, it doesn't seem like it's going to be consistent. I was just checking this yesterday. I swear to God, Quigs. We're taping on Wednesday this week because I had to get back from Chicago after losing miserably to Will Compton, Dana Beers, and John Feidelberg in the dozen. I hope they win it all. Actually, I don't. I hope they fucking fail miserably. And so we're happy Juneteenth, everybody. Probably should have started the thing with that, for those who celebrate. So we have a little bit more empirical evidence going into this weekend. So the rain's definitely going to be a factor, or we're hoping not too bad of a factor. It's one of the reasons why I have Joey on. Does that fuck you up? What does that do to your picks, Quigs? Do you want to go first?
I think it makes it easier.
You're first. I'm second.
I know what he's gonna
Spider's
do.
third.
I think it makes it easier for me
ahead.
because there's a guy that when it rains and they move the race day, I always like to take a guy who announced the end of his career and probably wants to get as many wins as he can. And I think I'm going to steal your thunder again, and I'm taking Martin Truex to win it, plus 450. I think it makes a lot of sense to take him here, and I'm going to have to do that. And then I'm also going to take Brad Kay, who's had a ton of success on this track lately. I think 5 races, all top 10s, 3 top 5s, a win, and he's plus 1,600. So I'm going to take him.
Bunch of polls too, right? Does very well in qualifying here, yeah.
So I'll take him to win. I'll also take him top 3, plus 450. And then I'm going to regret it, but because I never win these. I'm going to try to get a perfect top 3. So I'm parlaying Truex, Hamlin, Christopher Bell, and all Joe Gibbs top 3 at plus 1,100.
Wow. By the way, Christopher Bell has been a rocket ship week in and week out.
Yeah.
If mechanical issues and other things don't stop him, Christopher Bell has been just consistently fucking great this season.
Yeah.
All right, so we got yours. I kind of alluded to mine with Joey Logano. I'm going to take Joey as a top 3. Joey's a top 3, pays only $250, but I'm going to take it. Chase Elliott is a top 3, pays $400.
Ooh.
Chevy is plus 275 as of right now to win the race.
That's my third pick. You motherfuckers can't stop it. You can't stop fucking running me down. So I got Chevy at plus 275 as the winning manufacturer. Chase Elliott top 3 finish at plus 400, and Joey Logano top 3 finish at plus 250. I'll take Truex off the ticket because of fucking asshole Quiggs.
Leave Truex on. Let's all take Truex together.
Honestly,
I can't bet him, right? Like
Quiggs,
I would, but I was going to
but
come off the schneid since he's leaving us.
Yeah,
I do whatever the hell I want.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's put Truex on the ticket for me too.
I'll bet him if it's on Monday.
My bet only goes in for a Monday race.
Okay, I'm committed. You can put him on my ticket to win.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm only going to add him to my card if it's a Monday race or a delayed race. But I like his teammates. As you said, large Chris Bell. I like Chris Bell outright this week, plus 450. I would like his price to be a little bit higher, but his teammates Truex and Hamlin are the same price, plus 450. Truex is probably the safer. I mean, I like what Quiggs' logic was. You know, he just announced his retirement. He wants to win again. He has a history of winning here. So this seems like a good opportunity for him. Bell, on the other hand, I feel like is just a guy that wins when you least expect him to. So, I mean, as much as he's plus 450 right now, I would have expected it to be Denny or Truex. That's why I'm taking Bell. I'm fading myself and adding Bell to my card. Also, I'm intrigued by Ty Gibbs, who's 18-1 right now. I also feel the same way about him, that his first win is going to come at an unexpected time.
Right.
And unlike Bell, where DraftKings expects him to be, a real threat to win this, Gibbs is 18-1. His 3 teammates are all plus 450. They all have relatively similar equipment. I know Gibbs doesn't have the experience on this track as much as, a guy like Martin Truex does, but I still think that might be worth a little sprinkle. So I'm going to take I'm all in on Gibbs this week. Christopher Bell's my main play, and then I have a little sprinkle on Ty Gibbs, which might be a top 10. I didn't see top 10 odds at the current moment. We're recording this show early this week, so that'll be up soon, but I'm intrigued by Ty Gibbs and where he stands currently.
There are some fucking wild odds once you start getting deep. Bowman plus 6,500, Gragson plus 10,000, Chase Briscoe.
Hey,
Kyle Busch plus 3,500.
Gragson what did you say? Yeah, 10,000 plus 10,000. Eric Almirola won in the 10 car here in 2021.
Yeah.
So I know a lot has changed since then, but I
might look into a Gragson top 10 when those odds
the way he's
out.
been running and that car's been decent here in the past. So let's slide
a little over. We neglected to mention, but Ford, who had a really tough beginning of the season, after the Ryan Blaney win. Let's slide it into Penske, who also had a tough beginning of the season, but now, obviously Logano winning the All-Star race, and then Cindric and Blaney.
And back-to-back Indy
they've been
500
rolling.
wins. I feel like, Ford and Penske got hot there, and they're back now. But I feel like that also happens every season.
Yeah, they won the championship 2 years in a row, and we're like, they're back, right?
They're just slow starters.
Yeah, exactly. But so once again, congratulations to Ryan Blaney. In case we just kind of glazed over it, Ryan Blaney is a playoff driver, and good luck this weekend to everybody who's betting this thing. Manoli, thanks for coming back. It's good to see you, boys. We're looking forward to me and Manoli we're gonna invade Chicago in a couple of weeks. Oh, and so it's New Hampshire this week, then Nashville. We'll be down there at the race for Nashville, and then we'll be down the following week at
Wait a minute.
Right?
Yeah, no, you're right. We're really looking forward to Chicago. In the name of this weekend, the last Chevy to win here was Kevin Harvick in 2016 in a Chevy. That's crazy.
And I took him.
What do you mean you took him?
I took Chevy to win.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, I'd seen that, but I took Chevy just to kind of break a schneid here.
Yeah, but Chicago Street, we got a great couple weeks of racing upcoming this weekend at New Hampshire, despite whatever weather. But between Nashville and Chicago, which we're really looking forward to, we've got our whole, a lot of our content staff from the Chicago office joining us for that race. So make sure you get your tickets, and we'll probably see you there.
And we're going to do something at the Nashville bar that weekend.
Yep.
We're going to be doing a live Twitch show. Chicago weekend, I think, or maybe Saturday of Chicago weekend. Doing a live
Saturday
Twitch show.
from the track somewhere. Come find us.
Yeah, I think we're doing something with Reddick. That might be an overlap with the Twitch show. I'm not sure. So there's a bunch of shit. Barstool is offering $99 tickets to the Sunday race. This is Chicago. I know I'm all over the board, but it doesn't matter. So there's a lot of shit coming up in the next 3 weeks. What? The $99 ticket isn't going?
No, Spider was just showing me something.
I told him a joke.
Oh, I thought I fucked it up. Alrighty, boys. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you guys for listening. Thanks for Cabo Wabo, Arctic, and whoever else. We'll talk to you guys next week on Rubbin Racing.